I thought I was about to give him a memory to laugh about for years. But instead, what I saw behind that door nearly ripped the air from my lungs. Would you stay if love betrayed you, or would you walk away? Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. Have you ever discovered something about someone you love that changed the way you saw them forever? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. The house was quiet that evening, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint ticking of the wall clock in the hallway. Lena adjusted the hem of her blouse, her heart beating with the giddy anticipation of a teenager. It had been weeks since she had done something playful for her husband, Daniel. Life had fallen into a rhythm: work, bills, tired evenings, silent meals. Tonight, she wanted to change that. She remembered how, years ago, Daniel used to surprise her with silly little gestures. Notes left under her pillow, her favorite pastries hidden in the kitchen, unexpected detours to watch the sunset. She wanted to bring a little of that spark back. Just one playful moment, she thought, to remind him we're still us. So, she slipped off her shoes, tiptoed across the wooden floor, and pressed herself against the wall beside the bedroom door. Her plan was simple: hide, wait for him to come in, then jump out laughing. She even rehearsed the laugh quietly under her breath, hand covering her mouth. The idea felt ridiculous, childish even, but also sweet. She wanted Daniel to see that side of her again. On the other side of the door, she heard the soft creak of the front door shutting. His familiar footsteps padded across the living room floor. Lena held her breath, pressing her hand flat against the cool wall. Just wait until he's right here. But then she froze. A sound, a voice. Not Daniel's deep, steady baritone, but a lighter, lilting voice. Female. She blinked rapidly, her body tensing. Her husband was not alone. Daniel hadn't noticed the faint light under the bedroom door when he entered. His mind was elsewhere, his body heavy with the weight of choices he had been making for months. The house smelled faintly of lavender, Lena's favorite candle still burning. He hesitated, guilt pricking at his chest. Behind him, the woman laughed softly, her heels clicking on the floor. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" she whispered. Daniel didn't answer immediately. He rubbed the back of his neck, exhaling. "It's complicated." Her laughter faded into silence. Lena's throat tightened. She pressed herself harder against the wall, every nerve in her body burning. The words complicated echoed like a thunderclap in her skull. She wanted to burst through the door, to scream, to demand answers, but her body betrayed her. She stood frozen, every muscle locked, listening to the muffled exchange. "Daniel," the woman's voice softened. "She deserves to know." Lena's breath caught. Me. Her hands trembled. She had planned to surprise him, but now she was the one ambushed by the truth. Inside the room, Daniel muttered something Lena couldn't fully catch, but one word struck through the door like a blade: love. Her heart split into 1,000 sharp edges. She pressed a hand to her mouth, stifling the sob clawing its way up. The woman she had become, the wife who planned a silly surprise, was gone in an instant. What remained was a woman standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss of betrayal. And then, footsteps moved closer toward the door. Lena realized she had seconds to decide: reveal herself, or slip away unseen. Lena's hand trembled against the wall as Daniel's footsteps drew closer. The door handle jiggled. She had no time left to think. Her body acted on instinct. She darted out from behind the door, her breath ragged, eyes blazing with the shock of discovery. Daniel froze, his face drained of color. Behind him stood a woman, tall, striking, with auburn hair that shimmered under the hallway light. The stranger's lips parted in shock, her hand flying to her chest. For a heartbeat, the house was silent except for Lena's shallow, broken breaths. "Lena," Daniel's voice cracked. He stepped forward, reaching a hand toward her, but she recoiled as though his touch were poison. "What?" Her voice shook. "What is this?" The woman's eyes flicked nervously between them, but Daniel's gaze remained locked on his wife, guilt etched deep into every line of his face. "It's not what you think," he began, the oldest lie in the book, his voice heavy with desperation. Lena's laugh came out sharp, bitter, echoing against the walls. "Not what I think. Daniel, do you even hear yourself?" Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her eyes filling with tears she refused to let fall. The other woman finally spoke, her voice quiet, almost apologetic. Lena. Don't. Lena's hand shot up, silencing her. Don't you dare say my name like you know me. Daniel winced. His throat bobbed as he swallowed hard, trying to find words that wouldn't destroy everything, but every syllable he could summon felt like ash. I should have told you, he admitted softly. I just should have told me what? Lena's voice broke, the word what slicing the air like glass. That I'm a fool? That while I was out here planning to surprise you, to bring some joy back into this marriage, you were walking in with her? Daniel's lips parted, but no sound came out. Lena's knees weakened, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. She leaned against the wall for support, her fingers digging into the paint as if the house itself could keep her upright. Her mind spun in fragments, memories of their laughter, their vows, the quiet mornings when Daniel would kiss her forehead before work. All of it, every memory, suddenly fragile, breakable, tainted. Daniel stepped closer, desperate. Lena, please. It's not what it looks like. I care about you. I love you. I swear. Love. Lena's voice cracked. She spat the word like it was poison. You dare to use that word right now? The auburn-haired woman shifted uncomfortably, guilt radiating from her posture. Maybe I should go, she murmured. But Lena's eyes pinned her like daggers. Yes, you should. The stranger hesitated, glancing at Daniel, then hurriedly slipped out the door, leaving the two of them standing in the suffocating silence of their broken home. Lena turned her gaze back to Daniel, her body trembling from the storm raging inside her. Tell me the truth, she demanded, her voice low, trembling, but sharp. Right now. What is going on? Who is she? And don't you dare lie to me. Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, then dragged both hands over his face. He looked 10 years older in that moment, the weight of his choices written all over him. She's someone from work, he admitted finally. His voice faltered. Someone I shouldn't have gotten close to. Lena's stomach lurched. She staggered back, clutching her chest. Close to. The words were a whisper, but the pain behind them was deafening. Her vision blurred, hot tears streaming down despite her efforts to stay strong. She laughed bitterly, her shoulders shaking. I was waiting behind that door like a child, Daniel. A child. I wanted to surprise you, to make you laugh. And you walk in with her. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Lena, please, don't think this means I don't love you. Her eyes shot fire. Then what does it mean, Daniel? Because to me, it means everything I believed in just collapsed at my feet. The silence after her words was deafening. Daniel reached for her again, but Lena backed away, shaking her head violently. Don't, she whispered. Her voice was hoarse, broken. Don't touch me. For the first time in their marriage, Daniel saw not just hurt in Lena's eyes, but something far worse, distance. A wall rising brick by brick, shutting him out. And as she turned away, pressing her fist to her mouth to keep from sobbing aloud, one thought echoed in her mind, colder than any winter wind. The man I loved is a stranger. The next morning, the house felt like a graveyard. No voices, no laughter, only the hollow creak of the floorboards beneath Lena's tired steps. She moved like a ghost, her hair disheveled, her eyes swollen from a night of muffled sobs. The lavender candle still sat on the counter, burned down to waxy remains. Daniel sat at the dining table, untouched coffee cooling in his mug. His shirt was wrinkled, his tie loose. He looked like a man split in two, half wanting to reach for his wife, half too ashamed to breathe in her direction. When Lena entered the kitchen, he lifted his head cautiously. Lena, his voice cracked, small. She didn't look at him. She walked past, opened the cabinet, and pulled out a glass. Her silence was sharper than any words. Please, he whispered. We need to talk. The glass clinked against the counter as she set it down with deliberate force. Finally, her eyes met his, red and brimming with fire. Talk. About what, Daniel? How you paraded another woman into our home. He flinched, lowering his gaze. It wasn't like that. Then tell me, Lena snapped. Tell me exactly what it was like. His throat tightened. He opened his mouth, but the words stuck like shards. It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean. Lena let out a bitter laugh. You didn't mean to? Daniel, You don't just accidentally bring another woman into your wife's home. Her voice cracked on the word wife, and for a brief moment, her mask slipped, the raw ache bleeding through. She turned away quickly, but Daniel saw it. He wanted to stand, to hold her, to apologize until his voice broke. But fear kept him rooted. Fear that any step closer would push her further away. That afternoon, Lena packed a small overnight bag. She couldn't stay, not with the scent of him, the memory of that woman still hanging in the house like smoke after a fire. As she zipped the bag, Daniel appeared at the doorway. His face paled when he saw. "You're leaving." "I need space," Lena said flatly. She didn't look at him. "Please don't." His voice trembled, the words spilling out quickly, desperate. "Don't walk away like this. I made a mistake, yes. But leaving won't fix anything." She spun on him, her eyes blazing. "A mistake? That's what you call it? Daniel, a mistake is forgetting our anniversary dinner. A mistake is buying the wrong brand of coffee. What you did, that was a choice." The bag's zipper slammed shut. "And right now, my choice is to walk out that door before I lose every ounce of respect I have left for myself." Her words sliced through him, but he didn't move to block her. He just stood there, silent, watching the woman he loved slip further away with every passing second. That night, Daniel sat alone on the couch, staring at the empty glass Lena had left behind on the counter. He thought of calling her. He thought of driving to wherever she went. But his pride anchored him. "She won't understand," he muttered to himself, gripping his hair in both hands. "She'll just hate me more." He convinced himself silence was better, that giving her space might heal the wound. But deep down, he knew silence was its own betrayal. At her sister's apartment across town, Lena curled up on the couch, hugging a pillow to her chest. Her sister, Eva, brought her tea and sat quietly, not pushing, not asking questions. But when Lena finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I even know him anymore." Eva touched her arm gently. "Maybe it's not about knowing him. Maybe it's about knowing yourself, what you deserve." Lena's throat tightened. She wanted to say she still loved Daniel, that a part of her still longed for him despite the betrayal. But admitting that out loud felt like weakness, so she swallowed the words and stared into the steaming cup of tea. Two hearts, two silences. Both hurting, both afraid, both resisting the one thing that might save them, honesty. Lena whispered into the quiet of the darkened apartment, words meant for no one but herself. "How do you forgive someone who broke the very thing you built your life on?" And across the city, Daniel sat in their empty living room, whispering into the dark. "How do you prove love when you've already destroyed trust?" 3 days passed. Lena avoided Daniel's calls. She screened every number she didn't recognize. At her sister Eva's apartment, she buried herself in work emails, laundry, anything to keep from thinking about him. But no distraction was strong enough to silence the echo of his voice in her mind, pleading, "Lena, please." Then Eva got sick. A sudden fever, dizzy spells. By the second evening, Lena had no choice but to drive her sister to the hospital. The waiting room was crowded, sterile with the faint tang of antiseptic. Lena clutched Eva's hand, trying to steady both her sister and herself. The nurse directed Eva toward an exam room, leaving Lena alone in the waiting area. She sat, staring blankly at the TV playing muted news headlines. Her phone buzzed. A text. From Daniel. "Daniel, Eva's in the hospital? I'm on my way." Lena's chest tightened. How does he even know? But of course, her sister must have told him. She typed furiously, Don't come." Then deleted it. Rewrote it. Deleted it again. 20 minutes later, the automatic doors slid open, and Daniel walked in. Lena's eyes snapped to him immediately. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, jaw unshaven. His tie was crooked, as though he'd grabbed it last minute. Their gazes locked across the waiting room. She looked away first. Daniel approached slowly, as though afraid she'd bolt. "How is she?" he asked softly. Lena's voice was clipped. "They are running tests." He nodded, hands shoved into his pockets, shifting his weight nervously. For a few beats, silence stretched between them. Finally, Daniel sat down in the chair beside her. Not across, not diagonally, right beside her. Close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. "Lena," he began. She shook her head quickly. "Don't. Not here. Not now." He nodded, swallowing hard. But still, he didn't move away. Hours dragged on. Nurses came and went. Lena updated Eva's chart, signed papers. Daniel fetched her coffee from the vending machine. When he handed it to her, their fingers brushed. She pulled her hand back instantly, as though burned. But the heat lingered. "You didn't have to come," she muttered, staring into the cup. "I did," he said quietly. "She's family. And you?" His voice trailed off, uncertain. She cut him off. "Don't say it." His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Near midnight, the doctor finally returned. "Eva's stable. Just a viral infection. She'll need fluids, rest, and observation overnight." Relief washed over Lena, but her body sagged with exhaustion. The doctor left. A nurse suggested, "One of you can stay in the room, but only one. The other will need to wait outside." Lena turned to Daniel. "You should go home." "I'll stay," he replied firmly. She blinked, surprised by the certainty in his tone. "No, I'll stay with her. Then I'll stay here." His eyes didn't waver. The nurse shrugged. "Waiting room closes at midnight. Family can stay in the lounge upstairs." So that was how Lena and Daniel, despite all the walls between them, ended up in a dim hospital lounge at 1 a.m. 2 worn-out couches, a vending machine humming in the corner, fluorescent lights flickering overhead. Forced into the same space by circumstance. Lena curled into one corner of the couch, arms crossed tight. Daniel sat opposite, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was heavy, like a third presence in the room. Finally, Daniel broke it. "Do you remember the last time we were in a hospital together?" Her eyes flicked to him, wary. "When my appendix burst." He nodded faintly. "You were so angry with me because I fell asleep in the chair." A faint smile tugged at his lips, then died quickly. Lena's face softened for half a second before hardening again. "That was different." "I know." His voice cracked. "But I can't stop remembering how terrified I was that night. How much I thought I'd lose you. And now." "Don't," she whispered. Her throat tightened, her chest aching. "Don't act like this is the same." He nodded, swallowing back tears. But the vulnerability lingered in his eyes, raw and unhidden. The lounge clock ticked past 2 a.m. Lena shifted, exhaustion pressing down on her. Her eyelids grew heavy despite herself. She felt the couch dip. Her eyes opened just enough to see Daniel had moved closer, not touching, just near enough that his presence was a quiet comfort. For the first time in days, she didn't push him away. And as she drifted into uneasy sleep, Daniel whispered into the quiet, words he didn't expect her to hear. "I don't deserve you, but I swear I'll fight for you." Her lashes fluttered. She didn't move, but a single tear slipped down her cheek, not entirely from pain this time, but from the terrifying, fragile possibility that maybe, just maybe, his words were true. If someone betrayed your trust but still showed up for you in a crisis, would it soften your heart, or make the betrayal hurt more? Share your thoughts below. The house was quiet except for the steady tick of the wall clock. Lena sat stiffly on the couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Daniel stood across from her, pacing like a man preparing for his own trial. The storm outside rattled the windows, as if nature itself demanded the truth come out tonight. Finally, Lena broke the silence. Her voice was low but firm. "Tell me everything, Daniel. No more excuses. No more it just happened. I deserve the truth, even if it shatters me." Daniel stopped pacing. He turned toward her, eyes heavy with shame. For a long moment, he couldn't speak. Then, in a voice roughened by guilt, he began. "It started at work. She was someone I met during late meetings. We talked, just talked at first. I told myself it was harmless. I was stressed, tired, lonely even when you were right beside me. I let myself believe she understood me in a way that..." Lena's sharp intake of breath cut him off. "In a way that I didn't." Daniel's face crumpled. "That's not what I meant. I was weak, Lena. I should have turned away. I should have remembered the woman who held me up through everything. But instead, I let myself slip. One dinner became 2. Then one night." His voice broke, trailing into silence. The thunder outside filled the gap. Lena closed her eyes, every word piercing her chest. "So you chose her? Over us? Over me?" "No," Daniel said quickly, kneeling in front of her now, desperation in his voice. "I never chose her. I chose wrong. I chose selfishness. But it was never love. It was never real. The only real thing I have, the only thing that has ever mattered, is you." Tears blurred Lena's vision. She wanted to scream, to curse, to tell him love wasn't enough to patch a broken heart. But instead, she whispered, "Then why wasn't I enough to keep you from straying?" Daniel's head dropped into his hands. "Because I was a coward. Because instead of telling you I felt unseen, I looked for someone else to notice me. I betrayed you because I couldn't face my own emptiness." The words hung heavy in the room, the raw honesty stinging them both. For the first time, Lena's anger softened into something else, ache, deep and familiar. She leaned back, voice trembling. "I noticed, Daniel. I noticed every time you came home late. Every time your smile dimmed. Every time you said you were fine when you weren't. I asked, I tried to reach you, but you shut me out. And I blamed myself. I thought maybe I wasn't enough anymore. Maybe I was the reason you felt alone." Her tears fell freely now, each one a confession of her own pain. "Do you know what it feels like to question your own worth because the person you gave your life to looks right through you?" Daniel's chest tightened as her words cut him deeper than any anger could. He reached for her hands, trembling. "I do now, and I hate myself for it." For a long moment, she didn't pull away. Their fingers touched lightly, hesitantly, as if both feared the connection would burn. "I can't promise I'll ever forget," Lena said finally, her voice raw. "And I don't know if forgiveness will ever come. But I needed to hear the truth from you. Not half of it, not the polished version. All of it. And you gave me that tonight." Daniel's eyes searched hers desperately. "What does that mean? For us?" Lena shook her head slowly. "It means, the choice isn't just mine anymore. You broke this. Now you have to prove whether it's worth piecing back together. And I have to decide if my heart can survive the risk of trusting you again." The thunder rolled once more, softer this time, as though the storm itself was beginning to pass. Daniel whispered, "I'll spend the rest of my life proving it, Lena. Even if you never take me back fully. Even if all you give me is the chance to try." For the first time in weeks, Lena didn't turn away from him. She let the silence linger, heavy but not hopeless. The candle on the table flickered, and for a fleeting second, both of them dared to believe that maybe, even shattered glass could reflect light again. If you were in Lena's place, would you stay and rebuild, or walk away to protect yourself? Why? The storm had passed, but the house still smelled of rain. Drops slid down the windows like slow tears. Lena and Daniel sat across from each other, the silence no longer sharp, but heavy, like two people sitting at the edge of a cliff, deciding whether to jump or walk away. Lena rubbed her palms together nervously. "Daniel, honesty doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't erase what I saw." "I know," Daniel whispered. His voice was tired, worn thin. "But it's the only place we can start." She searched his face, eyes narrowing. "And what if I don't want to start? What if this marriage already ended the night you betrayed it?" Her words made his chest tighten, but he forced himself to hold her gaze. "Then at least let me prove to you that I'm willing to fight for it, even if you choose not to." A week later, they sat in the waiting room of a small counseling practice. Lena's arms were crossed tightly, as though she were holding herself together. Daniel sat beside her, restless, fiddling with his wedding band. Inside, the therapist, Dr. Morgan, asked the simplest question. "Why are you here?" Daniel was the first to answer. "Because I broke us, and I don't want to lose her." Lena stayed quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. "Because I don't know if I can forgive him, and I need to find out if I even want to." That set the tone. Every session, truth was dragged into the light. Painful, awkward, sometimes explosive, but always real. One evening after therapy, Lena stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair. She stared at her reflection, seeing not just her own face but the weight of every tear shed in silence. "Do I even love him anymore?" she whispered to herself. The question lodged in her throat, because the truth was, she did. Love hadn't disappeared, it had been buried under rubble. But was love enough? She remembered their early days, how Daniel made her laugh so hard she'd cry, how he danced with her in the kitchen at midnight, how he whispered dreams into her ear. That man still existed somewhere, but so did the man who broke her heart. Could she reconcile the two? Meanwhile, Daniel stayed late at work one night. Not with her. The other woman was gone, severed completely, but because he didn't know how to face home. He sat in his office staring at their wedding photo on his desk. His thumb brushed over Lena's smile in the frame. "You deserved better than me," he muttered. A coworker found him there, shoulders slumped. "Rough day." Daniel gave a hollow laugh. Rough life. Because I nearly destroyed the only good thing I ever had. A month into therapy, after another session full of tears and half-healed wounds, they drove home in silence. The car's headlights cut through the dark, and Lena finally spoke. I don't know if I'll ever see you the same way again. Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. I don't expect you to. I just want a chance to earn whatever version of me you can still love. Her voice cracked. And what if I can't? What if every time I look at you, I see her? He pulled the car over to the side of the road, turned to face her fully. His eyes shone with something between desperation and resolve. Then I'll live with that. I'll live with your anger, your mistrust, your hesitation. Because living without you completely, that's worse than anything. For a long time, Lena just stared at him, her heart at war with itself. And in that moment, she realized he was willing to crawl, to bleed, to carry the weight of her pain if it meant keeping their bond alive. It didn't heal her. Not instantly. But it planted a seed. That night, back at home, Lena didn't sleep in the guest room. She didn't crawl into his arms either. She simply lay on her side of the bed, silent, awake, listening to his breathing. For the first time in weeks, the distance between them didn't feel like a canyon. It felt like a bridge half-built, fragile, trembling. But there, Lena whispered into the dark. I don't know where this ends, Daniel. But maybe. I'm not ready to let go yet. Daniel didn't move, didn't speak. But tears slid down his cheeks as he whispered back. That's all I need to hear. Do you think broken trust can ever be fully rebuilt? Or does it always leave cracks? Share your thoughts. The morning sunlight streamed across the kitchen table, painting soft gold on the wood. For the first time in months, Lena and Daniel sat together, sipping coffee without bitterness between them. The silence was still fragile, but not hostile. Lena traced the rim of her mug and said softly, It almost feels normal. Daniel smiled faintly, cautious, as if afraid to scare the moment away. Maybe we're getting there. It was the first hint of hope. But like glass, hope is most dangerous when it shatters. Later that week, Lena went to a grocery store near Daniel's office. She wasn't expecting to see anyone, but then she froze mid-aisle. There, just 2 rows over, stood her, the woman, laughing with a friend, carefree, as though she hadn't detonated someone else's world. The sight sent Lena spiraling. She left her cart abandoned and drove home with shaking hands. When Daniel returned that evening, he found Lena pacing the living room. Her eyes were wild. I saw her, Lena said, her voice trembling. I saw her today. Do you know what that did to me? Daniel's shoulders sagged. Lena, don't you dare say her name. Lena snapped. Do you know how humiliating it feels to look at her face, knowing she's seen the side of you that was supposed to be mine alone? Daniel stepped closer, voice low. It was a mistake, not love. She's nothing to me. Then why can't I stop seeing her every time I look at you? Lena cried, tears breaking free. Daniel's desperation cracked into anger. What do you want me to do, Lena? Erase her from existence. Erase my own stupidity. I can't. I can only try to prove I'm not that man anymore. Lena's voice lowered to a dangerous whisper. And what if I don't want to wait around while you try? What if I'm too tired of bleeding for your sins? Daniel's chest heaved. His words came out raw, without filter. Then maybe you should just leave. The silence after those words was like an explosion. Lena's face crumpled. After everything, you tell me to leave. Daniel's fury died instantly, replaced by panic. No, I didn't mean it like that. But the damage was done. Lena grabbed her coat, tears blinding her, and slammed the door behind her. Lena drove aimlessly through dark streets, sobbing. The betrayal of months ago replayed in her head. But now, layered with his words, maybe you should just leave. Maybe I should, she whispered to herself, though the thought felt like ripping her heart out. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in the empty living room, staring at the door she'd walked out of. His chest ached with regret. He whispered into the silence, I'm losing her all over again. Lena checked into a small hotel that night. She lay on the bed fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, the weight of years pressing down on her. Memories of laughter, of vows, of their wedding day, all now tainted by betrayal and anger. Is love supposed to hurt this much? She asked the empty room. Her phone buzzed once, twice, Daniel's name lighting up the screen. She let it ring out, unable to answer. Daniel, meanwhile, sat at the dining table, scribbling words on a crumpled piece of paper. everything he wished he could say but couldn't. The page tore under his pen. By dawn, two people who once shared everything now sat in different places, broken by words they couldn't take back. The fragile bridge built in Act 6 had collapsed. And yet, deep down, beneath anger and exhaustion, both carried the same ache. Neither wanted it to end this way. If you were in Lena's shoes, would seeing the other woman make forgiveness impossible forever? Or is forgiveness about letting go of her power too? Comment your thoughts. The hotel room smelled faintly of bleach and loneliness. Lena sat by the window, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the city lights flickering outside. Her phone sat on the nightstand, silent now, though earlier it had buzzed relentlessly. She picked it up, opened Daniel's last message, and read it again. Please come home. I can't fix this without you. Her thumb hovered over the reply button, but she couldn't press it. Not yet, she whispered to herself. Do I even want to? She thought about the early years, picnics in the park, rainy nights when they built pillow forts, the way he once looked at her as if she were the only star in the sky. Those memories battled with the image of him with another woman, the sound of his voice saying, maybe you should just leave. Her heart felt split in two. Back home, Daniel sat in their bedroom, Lena's side of the bed painfully empty. He clutched the wedding photo in his hands. His thumbs brushed over their younger smiles. God, I ruined us, he whispered. And if she walks away, it's because I drove her there. He thought about his father, how the man had abandoned his family for another woman. Daniel had sworn he'd never repeat that cycle. Yet here he was, standing in the same ruins. I'm not him, Daniel said to the empty room. I won't let that be my legacy. I'll fight until she slams the door for good. Unable to trust his voice, Daniel began writing Lena a letter. Lena, if this is the end, then let me at least leave you with truth. I betrayed you, but I never stopped loving you. Not one day. If you walk away, I will carry that shame forever. But I will also carry gratitude, because loving you was the best part of my life. If you give me even a fragment of a chance, I will spend every breath proving to you that I can be the man you deserve. Taze smudged the ink as he folded the letter. He slid it under her pillow, an act of hope that she might come home to find it. Meanwhile, Lena drove to her childhood home. She sat with her mother, sipping tea at the kitchen table. Her mother, wise with years of her own heartbreaks, listened quietly before speaking. Forgiveness isn't about pretending nothing happened, her mother said softly. It's about deciding if the love you share is bigger than the wound. Only you can answer that, Lena. Lena's eyes filled. But what if the wound keeps bleeding? Her mother reached across the table, squeezing her hand. Then maybe love isn't meant to heal it, but to teach you that you're strong enough to survive it. The rest is choice. That night, Lena drove back to their street. She parked in front of the house but sat frozen in the car. The lights glowed warmly inside, and she imagined Daniel waiting, holding his breath. Her chest rose and fell. Do I walk away, or do I walk in? Her hand trembled on the door handle. Inside the house, Daniel sat at the dining table, head bowed, whispering prayers he wasn't even sure he believed in. Outside, Lena stepped onto the porch, the key heavy in her hand. For one suspended moment, everything hung in the balance. The weight of betrayal, the whisper of hope, the ache of love not yet dead. She slid the key into the lock. If you were Lena, would you walk back inside and give him another chance, or would you walk away forever? Drop your choice in the comments. The key clicked in the lock. Inside, Daniel shot to his feet, heart pounding. He watched as the door creaked open and Lena stepped in, her face unreadable. For a long moment, neither spoke. Just the sound of the door closing behind her. Then Lena whispered, You told me once that living without me would be worse than anything. I need to know, do you still mean that? Daniel's voice broke. With everything I am. Yes. She moved past him into the bedroom, silent. Daniel followed, unsure. When Lena pulled back her pillow and found the folded letter, her hands trembled. She read it slowly, her breath catching at his words. Tears blurred her vision. When she looked up, Daniel stood in the doorway, shoulders hunched, waiting for judgment. Lena held the letter against her chest. This is the man I fell in love with. Not the one who broke me. Daniel's eyes filled. His all that's left, Lena. The other man, the one who failed you, is gone. Please believe that. For the first time since the betrayal, Lena stepped toward him. Her voice was shaky but steady enough. I don't know if forgiveness means forgetting. I don't know if scars ever fade completely. But I do know this. My love for you is stronger than my hate for what you did. Daniel's breath hitched. He reached out slowly, like a man approaching a miracle. When she didn't pull away, he folded her into his arms. Lena buried her face in his chest. His heartbeat thundered against her ear, strong, desperate, alive. For the first time in months, she felt safe. Later that week, Lena planned something quietly. A simple act, but one that would reclaim her power. She stood behind the bedroom door as Daniel came home. Heart pounding, she hid, the same way she had the night her world shattered. But this time, when the door opened, she stepped out first. Daniel startled, then laughed softly through tears when she wrapped her arms around him. No more hiding, Lena whispered. Not from you. Not from us. That moment rewrote the memory. The door no longer symbolized betrayal. It symbolized rebirth. Months later, Lena and Daniel sat together in the therapist's office again, but this time, their hands were entwined. Their words were gentler, not about wounds, but about building a future. Dr. Morgan smiled. It seems you've chosen each other again. Lena nodded, squeezing Daniel's hand. Yes, not because it's easy, but because love that survives fire is stronger than love that never burned. On their anniversary, Lena placed her head on Daniel's shoulder as they danced in their living room, just as they had years ago. No fancy decorations, no crowd. Just them, music soft in the background, hearts beating in unison. She whispered, "I thought I lost us." Daniel kissed her hair. "We were never lost, just broken. And broken things, when mended with love, can be stronger than before." Tears glistened in her eyes, but they were no longer from sorrow. They were from gratitude, because against all odds, love had won. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful emotional journeys. And tell us below, have you ever seen love win in unexpected ways? Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.